Fine. You know what? Fine. I'll just get back in the goddamn rowboat. Jesus Christ. Yes, it's that time again, and it's time for Hatters to pro-tato around in a boat in this new game series that Wargaming themselves have come up with. It is a 4v4 tournament featuring two servers. Representing the Russian server are Team Blue Steel, who have selected 4 of their own ships on the other side, and representing the European server are Tora on this side, with our ship choice of 4 ships. Now, the only rules of this tournament are that there's quite a few teams involved, by the way. It's not just us two. Just to dispel that right now. Now, the only rules of this tournament are you are only allowed one, either battleship or aircraft carrier. So you can have one or the other. You can't have both. You can't have more than one of each. That's it. So in this case, TTT and Blue Steel have both gone for 1 times battleship, and we've in fact both chosen the Alabama. The other rule is that you can only have 1 smoke ship. So you can only have 1 ship that carries smoke. That includes cruisers, of course. So basically you can only have 1 destroyer, or if you don't want a destroyer, you can have 1 Edinburgh or Katyusha. You can't have any more than that. And this, I think, is to combat the smoke heavy meta. And it does work. Now, in a couple of TTT comps, we did take a Mikhail Katyusha to try the whole smoke thing, but in my opinion, it actually didn't work very well. And the best composition we came up with, or one of the better ones we came up with, is the one we're riding with now, and that is 1 Alabama, 2 Chapayevs, and an Atago. Now, the Alabama has relatively good anti-aircraft armament. It has the torpedo belt in case there are destroyers. It has pretty good guns. They hit fairly hard, although they can be a bit wayward. It features, obviously, it's a premium, so I can put a 19-point captain in it for free, although we were playing on special accounts where we were given 19-point captains and all the ships we could ever want. So yeah, I went with the Alabama over the NC because it's also a smaller target. I went with all the anti-fire skills as much as I could do to stop fires, because everyone seems to be choosing quite a lot of cruisers here. Now, the first thing we spot in this battle is the destroyer, and I do the classic. That destroyer is clearly overconfident. As you can see, he's not even coming towards us. He's been detected. I think we radared him, and I've banged 6,000 damage onto him in a battleship using armor piercing. So, game working as intended. My counter has just been decountered well and truly. So, the reason we've gone with our setup is we have the Alabama, which has good anti-aircraft armament. We have the 2 Chapayevs, which also have good anti-aircraft armament, and their IFHE fire spitting capability. And the Atago, again, fire spitter, it's got the heel, but the 2 Chapayevs have radar. So basically, if we encounter a destroyer, we have 2 sets of radar, and we have 3 ships that are bloody dangerous to destroyers, so they don't want to come near us. We've also got all the anti-aircraft armament, so if an enemy team does select a carrier, we can basically just checkmate him and counter him completely. We did have a game against a different Russian team, I believe, where one of their carriers literally achieved nothing the entire game. Every time he tried to strike us, he just got annihilated, and his planes got blown out of the sky before he could even really do anything with them. So it does work. You don't really need a carrier in this setup. And I really like the 4v4 play. I think it adds a new dynamic to the game. I think it's really interesting how many different compositions you can have that would actually be effective. And it actually depends massively on what your enemy team picks. Unfortunately, you don't know this beforehand. You both pick and submit at the same time, so there's no cheating. But imagine a composition like one of the ones we ran into, which I believe was 2 Atagos, a battleship and a destroyer, that doesn't have any radar. And then having 4 destroyers against that. That would be hilarious. But it's possible. You're not allowed to do that, of course, because you're not allowed the 4 smoke ships. But I don't know if they would change the rules so that maybe you could use 4 Japanese destroyers that didn't have the smoke discharges, and have the torpedo reload instead. Basically, there's a million and one different possibilities, and I just really like the way that it's not a set, obvious comp like the 9v9s we've been seeing in King of the Sea. So King of the Sea, you have a Shukaku, end of story, that's going to happen. You have, depending on the rules, 2 or 3 battleships. Generally, they're all either North Carolinas or Amagis. End of story. That's the only realistic picks. And then you have a mix of cruisers, which generally involve one radar cruiser, although pretty much every time it's a Chapayev. Everyone has a Mikhail Kuchsov because it's just ridiculous, and you might see a couple of Atagos. Beyond that, you will not see any Oygons, you will not see any Hippers, you won't see any of the other ships. Sneaky Citadel there. Yeah, so it just... And obviously you've got all the Bensons as destroyers. You just won't see any real different composition to that, and that's great, but it's just a boring meta. You're never going to see different ships do different things, and a lot of different ships that we don't use do have some wonderful abilities that a lot of people don't get to see. So the Hipper has pretty good, and the Oygen have pretty good hydroacoustic search. The New Orleans has radar, and it also has really heavy hitting arm piercing if you catch a cruiser off guard. And you get to see that in this, because anything is sort of viable. So, yeah, I quite like that. So the game, we've only, how far are we in? Like a good 6 minutes in, we haven't even talked about the game yet. So this game is, again, against the Russian team Blue Steel. And Dave very cleverly and, well, worryingly for us, managed to secure the B cap. Our plan was to take C, let them take A, and then just drag it out and not let them have B. We weren't going to take B because we've not got the ability to get in there without being shot to bits. And just eke it out, see if we can whittle them down, maybe kill something. Unfortunately, we let their destroyer get away with it. We actually double radared him at the beginning there. We radared with one of the Chapayevs, shot him to bits as you saw, then radared him with the other one and attempted to shoot him to bits again, but he got very lucky. I got some troll dispersion, and he also manoeuvred very well to get away from my rounds as well as the other cruisers. So he actually got away with it, which is a shame for us, but it now means that they have the advantage big time. And they can kite us all they want. You see all that Atago there, he popped out. That's the closest torpedo beat you ever did see. Straight along the waterline of his entire ship. Groper got away with that. Anyway, so you saw the Atago, he came out there, he took a few pot shots, he actually dropped some torpedoes as well, and then he kites away. He can afford to do that the entire game. As long as he has health, he can just pop out, spam us, do what he wants, troll us, and then go away again. And until we advance and put ourselves in a dangerous place, there's not much we can do about it. We can try and shoot him back. I might get a lucky penetration, but beyond that, he has the advantage over us. And he's going to use that to his advantage. Now, the enemy composition, they actually... Let me just double check. I think they have the one radar ship. They also have a Chapayev. I will flash up the setups just now, so I'll give you 5 seconds to have a look at that. But yeah, they have a Japanese destroyer of some description. I probably should have looked this up before I before I carried on. But oh well. They have a Chapayev, they have an Alabama, they have an Otago, and they have one of the Japanese destroyers, which are nasty. Cheeky Citadel again. Now this enemy cruiser, the Chapayev here, has fully overcommitted, and unfortunately he's going to get killed here. Now this was a mistake by the enemy team. I'm not sure what they were trying to achieve. Potentially they were trying to get into a position to radar all of us and find where we were. Maybe he was trying to charge down and finish off someone. Maybe even me, get me spotted, because I have taken quite a lot of damage. You can see the amount I've been shot at. And I managed to dispatch him. Everyone else was firing at him and they told me to ignore him. However, I was like, no, I'm not listening to you guys without being harsh. We've done this plenty of times. Let's just get rid of the damn guy. I'm going to fire at him anyway. And luckily, my rounds hit home and everyone else actually missed. So I proved my point for once and actually got the kill. And maybe I didn't deserve it, but deserving the kills in these don't matter. Who finishes anyone off, it literally doesn't matter. I could sit at the back and only achieve 20,000 damage, but if I distract the entire enemy team and tank the hell out of them for the whole game, then I have achieved my purpose. My purpose as a battleship is to take damage, as you can see, which I've been doing. I've only got 1 heal left, and I've only got half my health left, so I've probably lost my health almost once entirely, and potentially even once entirely, and then a bit again. So, and by the end of this game, I would have lost it probably 1.6 times over. So, I definitely did my job of tanking here. And the other job of a battleship is to try and get some shots on targets, score those citadels and those big hits, and to try and get their cruisers to go away. Now, at this point in the game, the enemy are on 687 points, whereas TTT are only on 613. So the enemy have a huge advantage, and that advantage continues to tick up. So even though we've killed one of them, as I say, they can just hang on. They can just chill out in their positions, and as long as we can't kill them, they're going to win. So they're going to wait for us to push, wait until we get into a bad position, and then spam the hell out of us. Now, this Alabama is doing a good job of tanking damage for the team, but unfortunately for him, he's in a dodgy position where we can still get shots on him. So we're going to be able to shoot him up the whole time, which is not great. Now, I could have done the same behind the low island on the left instead of the large island that you can see right in front of me. But I decided to go for the big island. Now, it didn't allow me many shots on the enemy team, but it did allow me to hide from damage. Unfortunately, the little destroyer there, his luck is definitely not out. He still has his 9 lives. This Groper misses him twice, and I also miss him. He was at great range, but he gets away with it again. We should have shot him down there. Getting rid of the destroyer is really important. A destroyer in this game mode, especially as it's only 4v4, is key for spotting and torpedoing. Now, you give up a lot of firepower to have a destroyer, so having one, you got to make him count. And well, the other thing they do, of course, is smoke. So you've got to use that smoke, those torpedoes, and that spotting for your team's advantage to let their guns do the work early on, while you can't really achieve much beyond torpedoing targets. Torpedoes are really, really great to deny areas, and torpedoes are great to, you know, sort of spam people to low health quite early on. But they're quite hard to hit, so destroyers are a very viable ship to take in these setups. But we decided against it, and I think for all the right reasons, because you can easily counter them. We have the Double Chapayev, 2 radars, straight up what a destroyer's going to do against that. They don't want to get close, because they'll get radared once, you know, for 20 odd seconds, and then 10 seconds later they'll get radared again. And to be fair, if they get caught short too close to you, they're going to die. 2 radars is more than enough to absolutely slaughter a destroyer. So yeah, he's got to be careful, and to be fair, he's done very well to survive this long without double Chapayev setup. But you can see he's not been able to get very close, not at all. The wayward guns of the Alabama there, proving their worth. Yeah, so I really like this game mode, and I think it allows for more exciting gameplay, particularly in this instance. There's no carrier, so right now I'm undetected. As a battleship right in the middle of the map, I'm actually going in towards the B cap, and I'm not detected by the enemy, which is nice because it allows you to do so many more different things. And the same with the enemy battleship. He's running away, he's decided, I've had enough, I need to kite this enemy team and get into a position where I can fire but not get hit hard in return, and we can't see him because there's no carrier, which is, you know, a big change from the competitive scene we're used to, where regardless of, if you're not in smoke, you're detected, period. You just have to deal with that. Particularly in a battleship, so you just get spammed half the time. Whereas now, they can't do that, which I quite like it, to be honest. The worry-free, actually being able to escape and hide a bit, maybe heal a bit, play. Now, our Otago has been in the cap for a little while now, and unfortunately for him, he's been sat stationary for a little bit too long. He's got nowhere to go, and the destroyer nails him. And that was a really, really, really good hit. And so here's another instance where I should have got him. But you know what I should have done? I have HE loaded. And I have HE loaded because both the Otago and the Battleship were kiting me. So I decided I'll load HE and I can get some fire damage. if I'd had armor piercing loaded, pound to a penny, I would have penetrated him, and that would have been it there. Because armor piercing, unfortunately, is the counter to everything in the game now when you're riding in a battleship. Because, unfortunately, I think they've screwed something up somewhere where destroyers take pretty strong hits from armor piercing that, in my opinion, they shouldn't do. The counter to them should be, well, in a battleship anyway, HE, because they've got no armor. So HE should more than do the job, and armor piercing should just over penetrate, and that should be that. So yeah, we failed to dispatch him again, but this time Groper's had enough. He's in his Chapayev, he's coming in close, and he's ready to radar the guy. There's 2 Chapayevs now there now, so at any minute now one of them's going to pop it. He's, as I say, in close range, and the guy can't go anywhere, so that's going to be the end of his game. Now, I pull a ballsy move here because we're all screaming and shouting. We thought we were going to lose this game at this point. They're on 976 points to our 778, and if we'd left it, I think it's even about 30 seconds, they would have had the game. I managed to sneak into the A-cap and block it. Now, as long as I'm alive, they're not going to get any points, and now Groper has dispatched the destroyer. We're going to catch up to them pretty damn quick. So all I've got to do now is live and basically not screw up too much, and if we can kill someone, then we'll definitely win the game. If we kill one more ship, we've definitely won, and as long as I stay alive, we're all good. We've got up that many points now that regardless of what happens, we're pretty much going to win. But Shock Horror forgets about the whole, Otago has torpedoes thing, and he gets some really good hits there. He gets one in the bow, which causes flooding, and he gets one on the belt. I didn't panic. I thought they're right. I don't think they're going to kill me. I'm going to have to try and take both of these on the belt. I used my last heal and repair, and hopefully I should survive long enough before I get spammed to death by these two. Now, it takes a worrying amount of time to sink this Alabama with all the rounds going through. I set him on fire, but apparently it's not enough. It's quite hard to hit them against the map border like that, but he finally gets killed. TTT is now on 950 points, the enemy on 856, and there's nothing they can do now. Even if they kill me, it's game over. So yeah, we managed to really drag this one back from a pretty certain but tragic looking defeat to a fairly convincing victory, and this is one of the most fun games we've played. Unfortunately, we played a few which you might have seen, I believe it was yesterday, where we got absolutely trashed, in no small part being my fault, but there you go, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, as I say, I really enjoy this game mode, and I think it's a good one, and that is the end of the game. And there we have it. So we won this game against Blue Steel. We then won the second game against them as well, so we knocked them down to the lower bracket and went through. We then played against Smile Gaming, another Russian team who absolutely creamed us. So we got knocked into the second bracket because this was double elimination. On going into there, I think we beat the first team we were against, and then the second team we were against was OM, who, well, let's just say, made us look a bit silly. The first game, they had our pants down, they completely whitewashed us. The second game, we actually came back and whitewashed them with some very interesting tactics and apparently some lovely formation play. And then the third game was one of the shortest games I have ever been involved in competitive, and I think we lost it within about 6 minutes. So OM really proved their mettle and that they are still King of the Seas, and so they knocked us out of the tournament for good. I just wanted to show this because I thought it was a really, really good and interesting little tournament to play. The 4v4 setup was fun. I'm not going to show any of the other battles, I'm just going to show this one. But I really do think it has some mileage and that it could become a thing, and maybe, they could change it tier, they could even change it up to tier 10, they could really play with this and see how they go. So I think Wargaming's onto a bit of a winner, and it goes to show that you can really change up the game modes that we're playing and try it out. So maybe 5v5 would be more interesting, change the rules a little bit, 6v6, 7v7 I think we've had before. We've been doing 9v9s. 12v12s, if you actually want to watch with streaming, isn't really possible because you need, at the moment, someone on the team to kill themselves and then they can watch in the free cam. But yeah, I'm glad that Wargaming are trying to run their own thing as well, and and I think this one was pretty successful, and I certainly enjoyed it. The end of this tournament, I think, is upcoming. I'll just check now. So the finals of this are on the 23rd of this month, and then there's something called the Grand Finals, which is on the 26th of this month. Now, I'm not sure how that works, and I'm not sure what time, so you'll have to dig into it yourself, but that's what the challenge page says for this 4v4 tournament, and I recommend, it's definitely worth a watch on the streams if you get a chance. So, I've been Hatters. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the little game mode. Feel free to say what you thought, whether it's crap or whether it's good. I certainly enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you all soon.